The black ocean of space was endless. Stars burned far away, cold and distant. A small human ship floated quietly between those stars. Inside the ship, one man sat alone. His name was Captain John. John had been traveling for weeks. His mission was simple: to explore uncharted space. But now he felt the deep silence pressing on his chest. No voices, no radio signals. Only the low hum of the ship's engine. Then, it happened at first. John thought it was his imagination. A faint whisper inside his head. A soft voice that did not belong to him. "Human, can you hear me?" John froze. His hands tightened on the controls. He looked around the empty cockpit. Nobody was there. He whispered to himself, "Am I going mad?" Too much silence. Too much time alone. But then the voice came again, a little stronger this time. "Human, please. Help me." It was not coming from the radio. Not from the speakers. It was inside his mind. John's heart began to pound. He checked his scanners. At first, nothing. Just black space and cold rocks drifting. But then his radar blinked. Signal. A planet nearby. The planet looked strange. It was gray, scarred, and broken, like something had burned it long ago. Clouds of green fog circled its surface. John felt a chill. The voice returned, now filled with pain. "My baby? My milk has dried up." John's eyes widened. He whispered, "What? Who's there? Who's speaking to me?" The voice shook with sorrow. "My child. My baby has not eaten for days. Please, human. Help." John swallowed hard. A mother's cry. A desperate plea. But how could it reach his mind? He looked at the planet again. The voice was coming from down there. Against his better judgment, John pulled the ship closer. His hands trembled as he prepared to land. His training told him, never trust strange signals. But his heart told him something else. The voice was too real, too full of pain. The ship entered the planet's atmosphere. Winds howled against the hull. The fog wrapped around the glass like green smoke. For a moment, John thought he saw faces in the fog-long, twisted shapes watching him. He shook his head, telling himself it was just fear. The ship touched down on rocky ground. Outside, the land was dead. No trees, no rivers, just black stone and cracked earth. The air was heavy, like poison. John activated his helmet. Then he heard it again, louder, clearer, "This way. Human, this way." John turned his head. Far ahead, he saw a faint glow. A cave in the rocks, shining like a lantern in the dark. Every instinct told him not to go, but his legs began to move. Slowly, carefully, he walked toward the cave. The glow grew brighter. Inside the cave, the air was warm, almost alive. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, pulsing like veins of light. John felt his skin prickle, and then he saw her. A figure stood in the center of the cave, tall, thin, covered in faint silver light. She had long arms, and her face was hidden in shadows. But in her arms, she held something small, something fragile, a child. The child gave a weak cry, like the sound of wind through broken glass. The figure raised her head. Her eyes glowed softly, filled with tears. "You came." "Human," she said, her voice trembling. John stepped back, his heart racing. You're real," he whispered. The alien mother nodded slowly. Her face was pale, her body weak. She held the child closer, rocking it gently. "My baby is dying. My milk has dried up. He has not eaten for days." John stared, speechless. He had traveled far across the stars, but he had never seen anything like this. A mother and alien begging for help. For a moment, silence filled the cave. Only the faint cry of the child echoed against the glowing walls. John's mind screamed at him to run, to get back to his ship, to leave this cursed planet. But his heart told him something different, because the mother's eyes were not strange, not alien. They were the eyes of every mother who had ever feared for her child. John stood frozen, torn between fear and compassion, and then the alien mother fell to her knees, holding her child up to him. "Human, please, save my baby." The sound of her broken voice filled the cave, shaking his very soul. John's breath caught in his throat. He knew this was only the beginning. The darkness around him felt heavier now. The cave whispered with hidden secrets, and far away in the green fog outside, shadows moved, watching, waiting. The voice of the mother echoed one last time in his mind. "Help us, or we will all be lost." And in that moment, John understood. He had stepped into something far greater than he could ever imagine. The cave was silent. Only the sound of the weak child's cry echoed against the glowing walls. John stood frozen at the entrance, his breath fogging inside his helmet. The tall alien mother was kneeling before him, holding her baby tight. Her body shivered like a dying flame, and her silver glow flickered with weakness. She looked up at John, and though her face was strange, her eyes carried the same sorrow he had seen in human mothers on Earth. Who are you?" John finally whispered. The alien mother's voice trembled in his mind, soft but desperate. "I am only a mother. My name does not matter. What matters is my child." She uncovered the small creature in her arms. The alien baby was thin, its skin pale and glowing faintly blue, like a fading star. Its chest rose and fell in shallow breaths. Each cry was weaker than the last. John felt his stomach twist. This was not just an alien. This was a baby fighting for life. The mother pressed her forehead to the child, whispering, "He has not eaten for many days. My milk has dried up. Our world is poisoned. My body cannot make food for him anymore." Her voice cracked, heavy with shame and pain. "I failed him. I failed my own blood." John stepped closer, slowly, carefully. His boots scraped the glowing floor. He wanted to say something, anything, but no words came. The mother lifted her head and looked at him again. "You are human. You're kind. Your life is strong. The stories say your blood carries light. It may save him." John's chest tightened. He shook his head in disbelief. "My blood? That's impossible. He's not even human. How can I?" But the mother cut him off, her voice suddenly fierce. "Do not speak of impossible. Look at him." She held the child out in trembling arms. The baby's tiny mouth opened, but no sound came, only a weak flicker of glowing sparks, like fireflies escaping from his breath. His eyelids fluttered. John's throat went dry. He had seen death before: soldiers lost in war, crew members lost in space, but never like this. Never a child. The mother's voice broke again. "Please, human, do not turn away. I have nothing left. If he dies, my people die. He is the last of our children." Those words struck John like a blade. The last child. An entire race holding on to one small life. He took a step back, fear gnawing at him. If he gave his blood, how much would it take? Would it kill him? And even if it worked, what if the mother was lying? What if this was a trap? He looked at the mother's trembling arms, at the baby's faint glow, at the tears streaming from her silver eyes. No, this was no trap. This was real. But still, he hesitated. I don't know if I can." The mother lowered her head, her voice filled with despair. "Then my child will die here, in your sight. and you will carry that death forever." The words hit him like thunder. His heart pounded in his chest. John clenched his fists, torn between fear and compassion. He thought of his own mother, long gone now, and the way she used to hold him when he was small. He thought of the long silence of space, and how this was the first living voice he had heard in weeks. Finally, he whispered, "Show me how." The alien mother looked up, hope flickering in her glowing eyes. She moved closer, gently placing the child in his arms. The baby was warm, but too light, like a bundle of fading air. Its eyes opened just a little, and for the briefest moment, John saw something in innocence that was not alien at all, a spark of life that belonged to every child, no matter the world. The mother reached out, touching the back of his hand with her long fingers. One drop. Only one. It may be enough to awaken him. John's heart pounded harder. He pulled a small knife from his belt emergency gear. His hands trembled as he pressed the blade against his finger. A single drop of red blood welled up. The mother leaned close, guiding his hand to the baby's lips. The child's mouth opened weakly, and the drop touched its tongue. For one long moment, nothing happened. John held his breath. The mother closed her eyes, whispering a prayer in a language he could not understand. Then dashed light. The baby's body glowed brighter, like a candle bursting back to life. Its chest rose with a stronger breath. A faint cry escaped its lips, louder than before. The cave walls echoed with the sound. The mother gasped, her silver eyes shining with tears. "It works, human. It works." John felt his knees weaken. Relief washed over him, mixed with fear of what he had just done. He looked at the glowing child in his arms, then back at the mother. Her voice came again, soft but filled with gratitude. "You are not just a visitor, human. You are hope. My baby lives because of you." But as John held the child, he felt a strange chill behind him. The cave air shifted. The glowing symbols on the walls pulsed faster. He turned his head, and in the darkness beyond the light, something moved. Shadows, watching. Crawling closer, the mother's expression darkened. Her voice trembled with fear. "They have smelled your blood. We are not alone anymore." John's heart sank. His single act of kindness had awakened something else, something dangerous. And in that moment, he realized his nightmare was only beginning. The cave was no longer silent. The alien baby's louder cry echoed through the glowing chamber. Its small chest rose and fell with new strength, and the light around its tiny body flickered like a candle refusing to die. John held the child in his arms, feeling both relief and fear. His single drop of blood had saved it. But at the same time, he felt weaker, as if a piece of his strength had been taken away. The mother knelt close, her silver eyes shining. "You see, human, your life carries fire. My baby feeds on that fire. You are different. You are strong." John gave the child back to her carefully, but his voice was heavy with suspicion. "Why me? Why my blood? What's happening here?" The mother hugged her child tightly, rocking him slowly. Her glowing skin dimmed for a moment as if sadness was draining her. Then she spoke, her voice soft but filled with old pain. "Long ago, our world was green. Rivers sang, forests grew high, and my people thrived. Mothers like me fed our children with milk that carried the energy of the planet. Every child grew strong, until the sky burned." Her words filled the cave like smoke. John frowned. "The sky burned. What do you mean?" The mother's face darkened. Her long fingers traced the glowing marks on the wall, symbols that pulsed like scars. "A war came. Not with fire, but with hunger. Our leaders poisoned the rivers to defeat our enemies. But the poison spread. It sank into the soil, into the air, into us. The land still breathes poison. And now we mothers are dry. No child can drink from us any more." Her voice cracked. She lowered her head, whispering, "Most of our children have already died." John's breath caught. He looked at the tiny baby in her arms, realizing what she had said earlier was true. This child. He's one of the last. The mother nodded slowly, her eyes wet with glowing tears. "Yes, the last generation. If he dies, my people die with him." A heavy silence filled the cave. The truth was darker than John had imagined. This was not just a mother's plea. This was the cry of an entire race, a people standing at the edge of extinction. But another question burned in his mind. "Why do you think my blood can save him? How do you even know about humans?" The mother's eyes met his, and for the first time, John saw something like fear in them. "Because we have seen your kind before." John stiffened. His hand gripped the strap of his suit. "What do you mean?" "Humans have never been here." The mother shook her head. "Not here. Long ago, when our skies were still alive, a ship came. It was not like ours. It carried your kind. They were explorers, like you. One of them was wounded. He bled before us, and his blood glowed with power. For a moment, it healed the soil around him. Our elders knew then. Humans carry the seed of survival." John's heart pounded. He thought of Earth, of the scientists who always searched for new worlds. Could it be true? Had humans reached this place before? And if so, why was it never recorded? Before he could speak, the cave shuddered. A low growl echoed from the shadows. The glowing marks on the walls flickered as if warning him. The mother clutched her baby tight, her voice urgent. "We are not alone. The others have come." John spun around. Shapes moved at the edge of the cave. Dark, twisted figures with glowing eyes. Their bodies looked thin, broken by hunger. Their movements were slow, but their gaze was fixed on him. The mother's voice trembled. "They smell your blood. They know what you carry." John stepped back, his heart racing. "Who are they?" Her answer was sharp, filled with sorrow. "My people. The ones who could not let go of hope. They are starving. They no longer see reason. They see only food. And now they see you." The figures crept closer, their mouths opening wide. John saw rows of sharp black teeth glowing faintly in the light. The mother pulled him toward the deeper part of the cave. "Run, human. If they take you, they will tear you apart. And if they drink too much of you, the child will die as well." John's breath came fast, fear clawing at his chest. The baby cried louder, the sound echoing like a warning bell. But something inside him held him back. He looked at the starving figures, broken, desperate, almost human in their suffering. Could he run while they starved? Could he leave them, knowing they too were once mothers, fathers, children? The mother sensed his hesitation. Her voice rose, fierce like a blade. "Do not pity them. They are lost. Their hunger has made them beasts. If you stay, you die. If you die, my child dies. Choose." John's fists clenched. His mind was at war with his heart. The truth was before him now. This planet was poisoned, its people broken, its future hanging by the thread of a single child. And he was the thread. The shadows drew closer. Their growls louder, their eyes burning with hunger. The mother whispered one last time, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Human, will you save the last light of my world, or will you fall to the darkness with the rest of us?" John's chest rose with a deep breath. He knew a choice had to be made. But in the green glow of that cave, surrounded by sorrow and hunger, he realized every choice would come with a price. The cave shook with the sound of footsteps. Shadows crawled along the walls, hungry figures closing in. Their glowing eyes burned with wild hunger, their bodies trembling with weakness. John backed away, his heart hammering. He had faced danger before, but this was different. These were not monsters from some story, they were once people. They had once held children, sung songs, lived in villages. Now they were husks, empty shells of starvation. The alien mother clutched her baby to her chest. Go, human. You cannot fight them. Your blood will only feed their madness. But John could not move. His boots felt like stone against the glowing floor. His mind twisted with questions, his chest heavy with guilt. What if he could help them too? What if his blood could save more than just the baby? He whispered to himself, almost in denial. Maybe I can give them some too. Maybe I don't have to run. The mother's eyes flashed with fear. No, you do not understand. One drop saved my child because he is new, pure. But they are already broken. Their hunger will never stop. If you give one drop, they will want more. They will drink you dry until nothing remains. The starving aliens stepped closer. Their breaths hissed like steam escaping from broken pipes. Their hands reached forward, shaking but desperate. John's hand went to the knife at his belt. His thoughts spun like a storm. He had been raised to help, to never turn his back on the weak. Could he look at them suffering, starving, and just run? But then he looked at the baby. The tiny creature glowed faintly in its mother's arms, breathing only because of him. The child's small cry reached his ears, soft and fragile. And suddenly, John saw a vision in his mind. The child's future. A whole race rising again. A world reborn from ashes. That future depended on this one fragile life. If he gave himself to the starving crowd, there would be no future. Only a feast that ended in his death. The mother's voice pressed into his mind, sharp and urgent. Do not let pity blind you, human. You cannot save everyone. You must choose. John clenched his fists. Sweat dripped down his face inside the helmet. His heart screamed at him to fight, to resist, but his soul ached at the thought of abandoning others. He remembered his commander's words back on Earth, in deep space. You will face impossible choices. Survival will demand sacrifice. This was that moment. The starving aliens crept closer, their mouths opening wider. The glow of their teeth flickered, dripping with hunger. One of them hissed louder, a sound like broken glass. John's pulse raced. He lifted the knife and whispered, almost to himself, I can't be their food. Not now. The mother grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the deeper tunnels of the cave. Then run, human. Run while you can. John hesitated. His eyes locked with the nearest starving alien. For a split second, he saw its face clearly. Hollow cheeks, sunken eyes, but beneath the hunger, he saw pain. A father's face. A man who had once loved. The alien whispered weakly, its voice like sand. Please, just a taste. Please. John's chest tightened. Every step away from them felt like betrayal. But every second he delayed was another step closer to death for him. And for the child. The mother's grip tightened, her voice cutting through his doubt. If you fall, my baby falls. Is that the choice you want? John's jaw clenched. He turned his back to the starving crowd, forcing his feet to move. The cries of the creatures echoed behind him, begging, snarling, reaching, but he didn't look back. The deeper he went, the colder the cave became. Strange veins of green crystal pulsed along the walls, casting eerie shadows. The baby whimpered softly, as if sensing the danger still around them. John's voice finally broke the silence. Why me? Why am I the one carrying this? This fire in my blood. The mother walked beside him, her face pale, her glow dim. Because your kind is different. Your bodies were made in balance. You hold strength not just for yourself, but for others. We destroyed our balance. We fed too much, poisoned too much. You are what we lost. John shook his head. I'm just a man. I'm no hero. The mother's gaze lingered on him. Heroes do not choose to be heroes. They choose who to save. That is enough. Her words cut deep. John thought about Earth, his people, his world, alive and thriving. And then he thought about this dying planet, clinging to its last child. The dilemma tore at him like claws. If he gave more blood, he risked losing himself. If he refused, he condemned them to die. And yet, if he ran, he carried their voices with him forever. The deeper chamber of the cave was quieter. The cries of the starving shadows faded, muffled by the stone walls. Yet John still felt them. Their hunger echoing in his bones. The alien mother laid her baby on a smooth stone, her arms trembling with weakness. The child whimpered softly, tiny chest rising and falling like fragile glass. Its glow flickered, weaker than before. John's throat tightened. One drop of blood had saved the child for a moment, but it was not enough. The mother's voice was low, filled with sorrow. He needs more. Human. Your fire has given him breath, but his hunger is deep. Without another taste, he will fade again. John looked at the baby. Its eyes were half closed, but when it sensed him near, they flickered open. For the first time, John saw them clearly. Not alien, not monstrous, just innocent. Wide, curious, helpless. The mother's silver eyes searched his face. I know what I ask is heavy. Every drop you give weakens you. But if you do not, he will not see another sunrise. John's hand went to his finger where the small cut still stung. He remembered the warmth draining from him, the dizziness that followed. One drop had been enough to shake him. How much more could he lose before it killed him? His chest tightened with fear. But when the baby reached out with tiny hands, weakly grabbing at the air, John felt something inside him shift. He whispered, "All right. I'll do it again." The mother bowed her head, whispering a trembling word of thanks. John pulled out the small knife again. His hand trembled, not from fear of pain, but from the weight of the choice. He pressed the blade gently against his arm this time, drawing a small line. Red welled up, bright and alive. The mother guided his arm closer. The baby opened its mouth weakly, and when a drop of blood touched its lips, the cave seemed to breathe. At first, silence. Then light. The child's body glowed brighter than before, as if a hidden star was waking inside it. Its tiny chest expanded, a strong breath rushing in. A cry followed, not weak this time, but sharp and alive. John staggered back, dizzy, but the sight held him in place. The baby reached for him, small fingers glowing faintly. The mother's eyes filled with tears. It works again. Human. You are life itself. John tried to smile, though his vision blurred. He's stronger now. I can see it. But then something strange happened. The glowing symbols on the cave walls began to pulse faster, brighter. The baby's cry grew louder, vibrating through the chamber. The mother's expression changed. Worry crept into her silver eyes. Too much. It may be too much. John blinked. What do you mean? The child's small body shook with energy. Sparks of light spilled from its mouth like fireflies. The glow spread to the stone beneath, making the chamber walls shimmer. The baby was not just feeding. It was releasing. John stumbled back, shielding his eyes as a wave of energy pushed through the chamber. The green crystals on the walls lit up like flames, their veins glowing brighter than ever. The mother held the child close, trying to calm it. He cannot control it yet. Your fire is too strong for him. If it bursts free, the cave will awaken. John's pulse quickened. Awaken what? Before she could answer, the ground shook. A distant roar echoed through the tunnels. The starving shadows cried out in response, their voices filled with frenzy. John's stomach dropped. His blood had not only saved the child, it had called something else. The mother's arms tightened around her baby. Listen to me, human. You must be careful. Your fire is powerful, but it is dangerous. If you give too much, it will not only save, it will destroy. John leaned against the wall, his body weak. His vision swam, but his mind was sharp. He realized the truth. Every drop of blood he gave was a gamble. Enough to save the child, but maybe enough to burn the world. The baby quieted slowly in the mother's arms, the glow dimming to a steady light. Its breathing was stronger now, and its small hand rested against her chest. The mother looked at John, her face filled with both gratitude and fear. You are bound to him now. His life depends on you. And if others learn of this, they will hunt you until the stars themselves burn out. John's chest tightened. He thought of the starving figures in the tunnels, their hollow eyes, their desperate whispers. He thought of the roar he had just heard shaking the cave walls. He whispered to himself, almost a vow. I've stepped into something I can't escape. The mother nodded slowly, as if she understood his thoughts. Yes, you are part of our story now, human, and stories written in blood are never simple. The baby stirred, glowing faintly, and reached one tiny hand toward John, for the first time. John reached back and let the small fingers touch his skin. The warmth was gentle, innocent. And yet, beneath it, he felt the weight of an entire world pressing on him. Outside the chamber, the growls grew louder. The starving crowd had not given up. They had smelled his gift, and now they wanted it for themselves. The mother held her child tightly and whispered in fear, "They are coming." And this time, they will not stop. John tightened his grip on his knife, though his hands shook with weakness. The feeding was done. The child was alive. But the price of that choice was already chasing him in the dark, and deep in his heart, he knew. The real danger had only just begun. The cave walls trembled as the growls grew louder. The sound was not just hunger. It was madness. John steadied himself against the stone, knife in hand. His arms were weak from giving blood, his vision still blurred. But his instincts screamed. Danger was coming fast. The alien mother held her child close, her silver glow flickering with fear. "They will not stop this time," she whispered. "They smelled too much of you. They will tear through the stone itself to reach you." John swallowed hard. "Then we need to move." Now, the mother nodded and led him through a narrow tunnel. The walls closed tight around them, dripping with green crystals that pulsed like veins. The sound of claws scraping stone echoed behind them. The starving ones were coming. John's chest tightened with every step. His body screamed for rest, but his mind knew rest meant death. The baby whimpered softly, its faint glow lighting the path. "Where does this tunnel lead?" John asked, his breath ragged. The mother's answer was grim. "Deeper, toward the roots of our world." But deeper means darker and more dangerous. John frowned. "More dangerous than what's behind us." Her silence was enough of an answer. They pushed forward. The air grew colder, heavier. Strange whispers floated through the tunnel, voices John could not understand. The glowing symbols on the walls shifted as if alive, watching them. Then the tunnel opened into a vast chamber. John froze. The ceiling arched high above, filled with jagged crystals that glowed like frozen lightning. Pools of green liquid bubbled on the floor, releasing foul smoke. And carved into the stone were massive shaped statues of tall beings, their eyes hollow, their faces twisted. The mother lowered her head. "The ancients," she whispered. "The ones who poisoned our world. They left their shadows here." Before John could ask, the ground shook. From the pools of green liquid, shapes began to rise. Tall, thin figures of stone and ash, their bodies cracked but moving, their empty eyes burning with faint green fire. John stepped back, his knife useless against creatures born of rock. "What? What are those things?" The mother's voice trembled. "Guardians. They wake when the baby's power stirs. They were made to protect the poison, not us." The statues turned their heads toward John, their hollow eyes glowing brighter behind them. The growls of the starving ones drew closer. The tunnel behind was already filling with shadows. John's chest pounded, trapped. He was trapped between hunger and death. The mother clutched her child tighter, whispering quickly, "We must hide. The baby cannot fight them. You cannot fight them. Not yet." John shook his head. "No. If we run every time, they'll chase us forever. There has to be another way." The mother looked at him, her silver eyes full of grief. "You do not understand, human. The more you bleed, the more power you give. The more power you give, the more enemies wake. Even the guardians hunger for your fire now." John's stomach dropped. His blood wasn't just foodie, was a beacon. A signal calling danger from every corner of this cursed world. The starving ones burst into the chamber then. Crawling on all fours, their glowing eyes locked on John. Their cries filled the air, sharp and desperate at the same time. The guardians moved, their stone feet cracking the floor, their hollow hands reaching toward him to enemies, both drawn to him, both ready to tear him apart. John's mind raced. Run, fight. Give more blood. Each choice was a path to death. The baby cried louder, its glow pulsing. The sound echoed like a bell, shaking the chamber. For a moment, both the starving ones and the guardians froze, their eyes fixed not on John, but on the child. The mother gasped, clutching the baby close. "No, no, not him. He is too small." John realized the truth. The child was becoming more than just hungry, yet was a source of power. His blood had awakened something inside it, something that others wanted. The guardians stepped forward, their stone jaws opening in unearthly growls. The starving ones screamed louder, fighting each other to reach the front. John's heart pounded like a war drum. He had seconds to act. His eyes darted to the pools of green liquid. They bubbled, releasing gas that stung his nose even through the helmet. Poison. An idea flashed in his mind. "Stay behind me," he shouted. He ran to the nearest pool, ripping a metal pipe loose from the wall. The fumes burned his lungs as the chamber shook as the guardians advanced. The starving ones screamed from every corner, their hollow eyes glowing with hunger. John stood between them all, pipe in one hand, knife in the other, his body weak but his spirit burning. The alien mother clutched her child tightly, her silver glow flickering like a dying flame. Her voice echoed in John's mind, trembling with fear. "Human, if they reach you, they will tear everything apart. You cannot fight them all. You must choose." John's chest rose with heavy breaths. His vision blurred from weakness, but his heart was steady. He looked at the baby, glowing faintly in its mother's arms. That small light was fragile, but it was also the last hope of this broken world. He whispered to himself, "I didn't come here to be a savior. But maybe the universe chose me anyway." The starving ones charged first, their claws scraping the stone. John swung the pipe, knocking one back into a pool of green liquid. It screamed as it dissolved. but 3 more took its place. The guardians moved slowly, but with crushing force, their stone feet cracking the floor. Their hollow eyes burned brighter, locked on the baby. The mother cried out, pulling her child close. They want him now. They want his fire. John's stomach turned. His blood had given the child's life, but it had also painted a target on him. The whole world wanted the baby now. He knew what he had to do. John turned to the mother, his voice sharp. Take him. Go deeper. Hide him where they can't reach. The mother shook her head fiercely. No, without you, he will not survive. John gritted his teeth. Without me, they'll take him. You don't understand. If I stay with you, they'll follow us forever. But if I stay behind... His words trailed off, but the meaning was clear. The mother's eyes filled with glowing tears. Human, you would give your life for a child not of your blood. John gave a small, tired smile. A child is a child. Doesn't matter what world he's from. The starving ones lunged again. John shoved the mother toward a narrow crack in the wall, barely wide enough to slip through. Go, now. She hesitated, her voice breaking. I will remember you, human. My child will remember you. John's heart ached, but he nodded. That's enough for me. The mother vanished into the crack, carrying the glowing baby. Their light faded into the dark, and John was alone. The guardians roared, their stone hands reaching for him. The starving ones circled, their mouths dripping with hunger. The chamber shook with their cries. John tightened his grip on the pipe and knife, though his arms trembled. He knew he could not win, but he could buy them time. He shouted, his voice echoing through the cave. Come on then. You want fire? You'll have to rip it from me. The starving ones lunged, and John met them head-on. His knife flashed, his pipe swung, his blood spilled. Each cut weakened him, but each drop of blood flared with light, distracting the creatures, pulling them toward him and away from the fleeing mother. The guardians reached for him, their stone fingers closing like cages. John slashed his arm wide open, letting blood spill across the floor. The glow exploded, filling the chamber with blinding fire. The creatures shrieked, clawing toward the light. John fell to one knee, his vision fading. His body trembled, emptying faster than it could hold. But in that fading moment, he smiled. Because he saw something in the distance far down the tunnel where the mother had gone. A small light, steady and strong, moving deeper into safety. The child lived, his breath slowed. His grip loosened. He whispered his last words to the empty air. Live, little one. Live for all of us. The chamber roared as the starving ones and guardians closed in. Their hunger overwhelming. Then, dash light, a wave of energy burst from John's body, brighter than the sun. It shook the cave, tore through the creatures, and silenced their screams. For one brief, eternal moment, the poisoned world saw fire again. And then, silence. Far away, in the deep tunnels, the mother stumbled but did not fall. She held her baby close, her tears glowing as they dripped onto the stone. The child glowed brighter now, stronger. Warmed by the fire of the human who had given everything, she whispered softly, "He is gone. But his fire lives in you." The baby opened its eyes, brighter than before, and for the first time. It smiled. The mother kissed his head and walked deeper into the dark, carrying not just her child, but the memory of a man who had stood alone against death, the last human light in a dying world.